Geoff, and I'm joined as always by my good friend Paul, who's over
Hello.
there. Paul finally watched Avatar: The Way of Water last night. Didn't cry. Didn't particularly like it. So
I did like it.
yourself-
Where'd you get this idea that I didn't particularly like it? Look, all I said was it's not going to be in my top 10 because it's just not my cup of tea in that way. It's got to be at a really high bar to get in my top 10, and it was just below that.
Let's just say, if you're listening to this podcast now, you're lucky it's still happening. All right. So
No, you're lucky that Geoff's still here because I would still go ahead.
Yeah.
You know, they might have two podcasts for the price of one. Paul no Geoff, Geoff no Paul.
Yeah.
Avatar divided us, but I liked it. What's the matter with you? Honestly, come on. Just because I didn't cry at the end because I'm not a kind of wuss like you are.
It's true. You've got.
Literally, you'd cry at anything.
Yeah, well, your text when you said, I don't like it all that much.
I didn't say that.
So we're here to review
Honestly,
73 yards.
Yes, we are.
From Doctor Who. And also, before we get into that, I wanted to say, if you are a regular listener or if you're a new listener, thank you.
Thank you.
Do get involved with our stuff on socials, on our Twitter, on our Facebook. Let us know what you think of episodes or of the show and of our podcast as well. Please give us retweets and likes. The more we can spread stuff, the more people can hopefully hear about what we're up to, and who knows what opportunities that might open up for the podcast. And
also send us a text from the app you're listening to this on.
Yes, you can do. If you look at the description text on whatever podcast player you're on, you'll see a thing that says send fan mail.
Fan mail. Send us fan mail!
Yeah.
Never had fan mail. I'm excited.
So you can do that, and also you can go to www.speakpipe.com/whoc2c, which is where you can send us voice notes as well. So if you send us your thoughts on an episode, we will feature it in our review for the episode. Unfortunately, we haven't got any for 73 yards, I don't think. We've got comments on Twitter and Facebook, but no speak pipes this week, which is a bit of a shame, but maybe next time. So
maybe next time.
We're here to talk about 73 yards, which we've both just finished watching.
Yeah.
Now, if you've listened to us before, you'll know I'm quite a fan of spooky themed Doctor Who stuff.
Spooky.
Yes. So I was very much looking forward to this one. And did it meet my expectations? Well, let's find out, shall we? I've seen a bit of chatter about the episode on Twitter.
Oh, I haven't yet, actually.
Okay.
I haven't even looked at that. I can release myself from my closet now. Because I normally shut myself off completely. I do not go online. Because I didn't watch this one last night, the midnight thing, which I have been doing. So I just couldn't. I was watching Avatar instead.
Yes.
And that was enough sci-fi. Well, call it sci-fi. Is enough of that type of thing, frankly. I just wanted to go to bed and shut my eyes in the dark afterwards rather than watch Doctor Who. So, I've avoided social media.
Well, I woke up this morning and I thought I won't look on the podcast Twitter because I don't want to talk about it. I want to watch the episode myself. But the first thing I saw on my Twitter was from our pal Didymus Holmes and his thoughts on the episode, and I thought, that's interesting. We are quite
Let me have a look at those now. I'm going to open those up. Oh, I can't because I'm not signed into that anymore. For some reason, my computer keeps bouncing us out of our Who's C2C.
Yeah, I've been
Twitter.
having a weird thing. Whenever I try and switch into the account, it just goes back to mine, and then I have to try
It's
it
because
again,
they keep changing the terms and conditions. Elon Musk has been very busy in the background tweaking things, and every time you log on nowadays, it says you've got to accept the conditions. And if you're signed up to multiple accounts, it will wipe all those out. And then you got to start logging in again with it. And each time you log in with a new password, you got to sign up to new T's and C's and blah 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 blah.
That'll be why.
So, and I haven't done that yet for Who's C2C. So,
if you do
interesting.
it, though, you'll get nudes in bio. So.
Strangely, that does seem to be on the up.
Yes.
I mean, Elon's grand utopia basically is a load of right wing nonsense and nudes in bio. I mean, what an incredible future he's laying out for us here. I don't know, and spaceships that explode after taking off or something. So he'll crack it one day and he'd probably abscond to Mars or something. So please let that happen. Oh my goodness. Anyways,
Didymus was on
Didymus.
Fairly similar wavelengths to us.
I can't find Didymus's tweet now. He is a big Carvanista fan. Isn't
he loves Carvanista, which is awesome. But then I thought, oh well, I've seen that now, so I'll just switch over to the Who C2C account, and then I saw a tweet saying that was amazing. So I thought, oh wow, it's, people are already kind of like half loving it or
Polarized.
absolutely loving it or really not liking it. So I thought, wow, what's going to happen here?
What's going to happen? It is, this series has been very much like that. And when you listen back to the podcast we've on it so far, I think even we've been kind of divided. Not so much, you think one thing and I think another. I think we've been mostly kind of aligned in our thoughts about it.
I think so,
but we've been divided internally. Like the last one, Boom, I both loved it and hated it in equal measure. You know what I mean? And it's bizarre, and I think Space Babies as well, and I think The Devil's Chord is probably the strongest one for me so far. I really love it. But yeah, I'm going to be interested to find out what you think of this one, because I know, yes, like you said, the Spooky Hues are kind of your top tier, aren't they? Pretty much.
Haunting of Villa Diodati, Listen, Hyde, then a whole ton of Big Finish audios, the Demons, various, classic stuff as well. Yes, you're right. It's been a funny series so far. Shooty, awesome. Millie, awesome. The look of it all, awesome. Various aspects of each episode, awesome. But for some aspects, just sort of not quite, clicking for me. Like Boom, if you've not listened to that, certainly myself and also Paul, I think to an extent, felt that it was. I was expecting more to happen. Basically, I didn't expect the Doctor to be standing on a landmine for 45 minutes, and
well, he wasn't even in this episode, so
no, yeah. So I was like, yeah, okay, it kind of didn't go anywhere, and, so anyway, but you can go back and listen to that if you want. So 73 yards then.
Oh, we got some Facebook comments, actually.
Oh, good. Okay, yes.
Oh, yeah, there we go.
Twitters
We can read some
well.
of those.
Yes,
that's obviously prodded something there. Ooh, yeah, interesting.
Why don't you tell me what you thought first of all?
Well, what did I think of this? Okay, so my first thought is, and I think as I said towards the end of our last podcast, I too like the Spooky Who. I like it when it dips into supernatural, and there is a history of this within Doctor Who. Of course, we've had stories like the Demons, where the Doctor kind of goes to a country village out in Somerset, which is in Oldbourne, isn't it? It's not too far away from here, actually. There you go. So, but I haven't been there. Anyway, I digress. Stay on topic, Laville. So there's that. There's the android invasion to a degree as well, where the English village turns out to be not actually English or a village at all. Actually, it's something else completely different. And there's also the terror of the Zygons, where the whole thing on the Loch Ness and all the rest of it, Scottish pub. There's a camera behind the stag's head, or is that Android Invasion? I get confused between the two of them. And Image of the Fendal. There's bunches of them, really. Especially during the 70s. Yes. They loved it during the 70s because it kind of dug into the whole gothic horror, Hammer House type of thing, and tales of the unexpected and all that sort of stuff. But it seems like they've fallen out of favour. We didn't get many of them in the 80s. In fact, none at all. I think there have been a few original New Adventures and kind of Eighth Doctor novels and stuff like that, which have kind of played on it, but nothing really much in the new series. No, there has been a couple. There's a couple of Matt Smith stories, wasn't there? So I think Stephen Moffat tended to bring it back.
A little bit with Eccleston with The Unquiet Dead, which was, sort of, you thought it was ghosts and stuff,
Yeah, it's not. Yeah, okay, it's not quite the thing that I'm thinking of, where it's literally English village. I think that was Cardiff, wasn't it? That was literally Cardiff.
I'd still count that
so,
for me as
you could, but I don't.
Because it's got
But I mean, specifically, that kind of village turns out to be hiding some dark secret, usually associated with witchcraft, at least on the surface, but then as you get deeper, it turns out to not be witchcraft. It tends to be aliens and demons and stuff like that.
I think my definition of spooky is probably a bit broader then, but
I wasn't calling it Spooky Who. I'm calling it village that has some weird thing going on with it. That's what I'm calling it. Yes, it transgresses into spooky. There is a Venn diagram where the two things meet in the middle, and that is where this one is placed, perhaps. But there's other things either side of that as well.
and because in who normally, magic and, witchcraft and all that is like, it's not really a thing.
It's poo-pooed. There's no such thing as witchcraft, Joe.
But now, since the Doctor spilt some salt on the floor, it's
don't be so dismissive like that. It's
viable.
Opened a whole new storytelling type.
Yes, and I do like the opportunities for that with the goblins and stuff like that. So, yeah, I'm quite open to all of that. So yeah, what did you think
like
of?
It.
No, it's good. I think it's nice to kind of mix it all up a little bit and
of course it is.
Doctor Who is a show that can do anything, and so whilst I think the salt thing is a bit flimsy, it's opened up a lot more opportunities.
But who's to say there isn't a science involved there, though? You know what I mean? Who's to say that the whole, because it was in Image of the Fendal, you fling a bucket of salt over your shoulder, right, which has become a superstition over time.
Yeah.
But there's a reason for it. In Image of the Fendal, because Fendals are allergic to salt, it squidges them like slugs or something like that. But who's to say that there wasn't a science? Because obviously salt is a chemical, so it has chemical properties. It has an interaction with other chemicals, and things happen. So, who's to say that on a quantum level, something happens as well, something we don't see, right? Something that affects the fundamental nature of the universe. Why not? Why is that any more ridiculous than like saying you push a ball that way and it makes another ball go in the same direction?
But yeah, if they'd said that, then
yes, I agree, but they haven't. They kind of left it to us to kind of figure it out and try and rationalise it.
Reminded me of a bit in What We Do in the Shadows, where someone throws salt on the floor to say that vampires can't cross it without counting all the grains or something, and and they go, "That's absolute rubbish. Of course we can cross it." And then they go, "Maybe we should just count these to make sure." Here, and then they get waylaid counting them.
Same kind of thing.
Yeah, what did you think of this one then?
So yeah, sorry, it's my fault. I did digress there. I did like it actually. It didn't go in the direction I thought it was going to go in, and I must apologise because the point I was trying to make was that I said it was like English village, and of course it's a Welsh village, which is a totally different thing. So my apologies to people in Wales. My family are over there right now because they are kind of Welsh, so they wouldn't forgive me for this. But I did like it. All in all, I thought the ending was kind of... It's going to take me a while to get used to the ending, because right now, after just having seen it once, I thought it was maybe a bit of a letdown. But I'm kind of thinking we're going to hear more about this. This might not pay off in this episode. It might pay off a little bit later on, I think. So yeah, the one thing that surprised me, because I mean all the stuff in the pub with the faces and them sort of ribbing Ruby and taking a piss out of her and just being and the mean landlady, the mean Welsh landlady. I mean that surprised me because this is written by a Welsh guy who's done a lot of stuff with Wales, and she doesn't really sell Wales as a friendly place, right? And yet, like I said, my family, my wife is Welsh, and her family are all Welsh and everything else, and they're, as I said, they're up there now, and whenever I go to Wales and I meet somebody there that I don't know, there is a sort of standoffishness, but it's never rude. It's like, well, we just don't trust you. We don't know you yet. You're English. As far as I can tell, you're about as English as they come. So why should I trust you? But once you've had a few beers with them and got absolutely, completely rat-arsed and have sung a few songs, then you're part of the family. Yeah. So that's great. It's usually all it kind of takes, but, well, with pretty much anyone, really. But so that was quite fun. So I just wondered why Russell had written this kind of stereotypical, rude, mean Welsh landlady who was giving it to Ruby.
Led to a few gags, didn't it? And to sort
of, so is it just for the sake of a gag, really?
Yeah. And they were sort of
probably
saying, "Oh, what do you mean you can pay on your phone?" And I was thinking, "Oh, did the doctor get the year wrong? And do they not know anything about that?"
Well, they might have Wi-Fi out there, which is a fact in Wales. If you're out there right on the west coast, you might not get any Wi-Fi at all. There's places around here you can't get any blooming Wi-Fi, but it was quite fun. They did sort of play on that. Yeah, of course we did. Chance of the thing.
There was also a dig at Christianity as well. So following last week's,
it wasn't much of a dig, mate.
It was enough to think.
Wait, are you quite religious then?
No, I'm not massively religious.
Easily offended by these sort of things?
I do believe in all of that from my youthful days.
From your,
and I just kind of think
your brainwashing.
I get it.
When you were in the cabal, in your
RTD,
cultish days.
RTD
You're
doesn't
right, cult
believe,
you are.
and that's fine.
Yeah.
I just sort of think we should respect people's stuff. So, yeah.
I didn't think it was any disrespect there, mate. I think,
last
if you felt there was, then fair enough. But
I think without being rude, I think if someone feels that they were offended by something like that, then that's sort of their prerogative.
it is.
There's
Yeah,
other
true.
things to be offended about that are not worth being offended about at all. But I think something like that. I mean, it wasn't a big thing. I just thought, we didn't need
Well, what
that.
did they say? He just made a joke about throwing Christians to the lions, didn't he?
Yeah, and then they said, we're getting Christianity next week or something. And
Yeah, but that's playing on Ruby's kind of prejudice, or what they think is Ruby's prejudice. And actually, it's not really Ruby's prejudice. It's their prejudice against the English.
Yeah,
because the English, they come here, they think we're all backwards and blah 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 blah.
Which is what she was doing about the phone thing. At that point.
Yeah, but she doesn't know that. She didn't know. She said she'd been to Wales twice. She's kind of stressed and everything else, and they're just being mean to her basically. These are a bunch of mean people.
The landlady, yeah.
Mm.
So anyway, it was only a small thing.
Anyway, but then of course it goes in a completely different direction, which is the bit I hadn't expected when she leaves Wales and tries to go back to her home, and then there's like a year's gone by and you think, oh my gosh, this is something else now. And then it's like 40 years and then another 40 years. It's like, wow, we've got an entire life going on here.
Yeah.
So that was quite interesting. I didn't expect that, and from that perspective, it felt to me almost like actually I've moved them around, but as like a Virgin New Adventure where there would be a lot of story on the companion, and Doctor may be absent for quite a lot of it, but all the story would be on Benny or Ace or something like that, or even what was the name, Sam in the Eighth Doctor stories, and the guys. So I kind of like that. And I imagine, I haven't really seen it yet, but I'd imagine there's a bit of pushback on the fact that the Doctor is absent for pretty much the entire episode. But...
Yeah, I was thinking it because my son watched it and he said at the end when the Doctor came back, he said, "Is that the Doctor?" Because he hadn't quite seen the beginning, and I said, "Yeah, it is." And he said, "Oh, where's he been?" And I said, "Well, I don't really know." And I thought, we've only got 8. Is it 8 episodes this series? And you got one without the Doctor in. I know this was the first episode filmed, I think, and Shooty was still doing sex education. Yeah.
Right, that's interesting. I didn't know that.
I thought Millie was really good in it.
She was fantastic.
Bearing in mind, she basically started the job on her own, with this script.
I think that's great.
She did a great job.
I didn't know that, actually, because I haven't watched the Unleashed yet.
I'm pretty sure it was the first one, and that's why he's not there that much. So, Doctor-lite episodes, absolutely fine. I get why they do it, production, logistics and stuff, but it just feels a little bit of a shame in such a short series to not have the Doctor in, and particularly in the 4th episode. Do you know what I mean? We're just getting into it all, and then he's gone.
And especially maybe thinking of that, also because the last episode, boom, the Doctor was kind of incapacitated for most of it, right?
Yeah.
So it was all on everybody else to sort of carry the show.
Yes, that's true. Yeah, yeah.
Maybe.
If this had been maybe episode 6 or something, we'd have had a few more kind of action and things get going.
Yeah,
and
maybe.
Stuff, But it's it's not a big deal again. So for me, I thought this started absolutely brilliantly. The whole thing was really nicely shot. It's
very atmospheric, wasn't it?
It was really, like the great big Welsh, coast there, those big vistas with the TARDIS on top there, and the little village that she goes to. That pub was like, the look of it with the brick walls and the horseshoe plate things hanging on the wall. That's proper kind of country pub type thing, and the rain and all of that. And I liked things where they had match cuts on the woman, where she was standing at night in the street there outside the pub, and then it would cut and it was daytime and she was in the same place, and there's quite a few things like that. So I thought it was really nicely
it's quite stylish.
It was, and I think
I
can't remember the name of the chap who directed it, but it was his first.
He's been putting a few tweets out, hasn't he? Actually,
yes.
The guy directed it.
Yeah.
I will find that out whilst you talk. You go, carry on.
Yeah, I thought that the first part was brilliant. It was quite unsettling, and the woman that was following her and stuff, and she was signing something, and I wonder what that that meant I saw someone had asked online if anyone knew what she was signing, but don't think I saw a reply to that. So that was, quite good, and kind of throwing Ruby into this slightly scary situation. Doctor's gone, she's stuck somewhere, can't get back into the TARDIS, and I did after a little while think, why hasn't she just gone home? And then, she did say, I'm going to come back now. She got the train and stuff, and there was a brilliant bit where every time she looked out the window, she was still standing in the fields and stuff like that as the train was rushing along, which was really good. And like you were saying, I liked that, we saw, 25, 30, 40, and her getting older like this, and this woman sort of being a constant companion to her, albeit from a distance, and her mum had run away and had cut her out of her life and stuff like that, and all of that was really good. And then it turned into the Roger Ap Gwilym thing, and I was like, well, I knew he was in this episode because it was I've seen, but I was like, what the hell, like, and I'm probably stupid, but
probably
I didn't really get the end. Like, it's funny. Sometimes I think like I don't need everything spelled out for me, but then sometimes I think things can, and it's nice to kind of make your own interpretation. But other times it's frustrating, and I liked that the woman said something, and the people started running off screaming. Yeah. But then I was like, so Ruby cleverly positions the woman to be right next to Ap Gwilym, and then she says something to him, and he runs off and he resigns, and he, the threat of the worst prime minister ever has been taken down, which is good. But I was like, what? Like, and then you get her in the hospital bed.
It's a bit neat.
And then it cuts to a point of view shot, and you see the hands doing the signing, and Ruby's in the distance, and she's back with the Doctor. Is that Ruby at the end, or what? And is it a different timeline? Because Kate Stewart was talking about timelines and stuff, and then I was a bit like, Ethan said to me, what's happened to her? Who's that? What's going on? I said, I don't know. So, I'm not entirely sure. It started.
I don't know what's going on. I've no idea.
No, it started brilliantly. I loved it.
Yeah,
and then it got into politics, and I was like, I mean, I don't really watch Doctor Who for politics, but it didn't hurt to touch upon it, I suppose. But
they got hard work keeping you happy, haven't they, these days? Jeez.
But no,
hold on, no politics for Geoff. I'll write that one down. Okay, we can't do politics.
What I mean is,
no jokes about Christianity. No, we can't do that either. Make it easy for him to understand. Yeah, be very clear. No, sorry, mate, I'm taking a piss, but
yes, you are.
Yeah, I get where you're coming from there. Yeah, it's that fine balance between what do you show and what do you tell, and what do you leave to the audience to kind of join the dots.
And like I said, I'm probably being stupid, and there'll be no doubt people that tell me, you're dumb and you don't get it. But I think it didn't give me enough to be able to kind of go, oh yeah, that's Ruby.
So not enough dots to join.
Yeah, he didn't have to explicitly say it, but it wasn't. There just wasn't enough there. What did you think?
I thought it was quite clear that it was her.
Really?
I mean, maybe. I mean, now you'll get me thinking maybe it wasn't her. But yeah, when I saw it, I thought, well, it's kind of Ruby. And I kind of thought earlier in the episode it might be an alternative version of her or her mum or something like that. Somebody related to her, if not actually her. And then there was a bit actually when in talking about the politics bit when they introduce a brand new character. What was she called? The young person. And I thought that was the old woman at first. And I thought, oh, that's nice. The old woman's getting younger as Ruby's getting older. But that turned out to be somebody else.
Listen, that bit there, I read that. Like, what was the girl called? Artie or
Marty something. Yeah,
Bridge. He said
Marty Bridger. Bridger.
It's a boy's
Hold
name.
on, I've got the cast list up in front of me right here.
I sort of
she's not on it.
I read that as she said, "Oh, Roger Ap Gwilym's a monster." And I thought, well, you could take that two ways. Either he's going to be revealed to literally be a monster, or
that would have been fun.
The way, but the way Marty was portrayed, and Ruby's kind of responses and stuff, I was like, oh, I think he's possibly a very naughty man.
He's just an evil bastard. Yeah,
get my
he just wants to fire the nuclear weapons, doesn't he?
Yeah,
right.
No, and I mean he was possibly, because when the other guy said, "Oh, Marty, you're specifically invited to the party," and she looked terrified. You know, I thought, he's that sort of a bad man, perhaps. You know?
Yes, got you. Yeah, a bit of an abuser.
Yes, yeah, that's the word.
Not to put too fine a point on it, Geoff.
So, yeah, and if it was Ruby, what did she say to the people?
Well, that's the thing, isn't it? And presumably, as well, when we saw the old woman in the distance, she seemed like she was signing. It looked to me like it was proper sign language.
Yes, it did, yeah.
Like she's trying to communicate something through signing, right? So,
and then at the end as well, when the doctor was back with Ruby, there was a voice saying something that only Ruby could hear, and I can't remember what it was. And I was like, "Oh, is that what she's
don't stand on the circle, wasn't it? Don't step there. Don't step. Stay." Something I can't remember now, but yeah. I've literally watched it like an hour. Well, an hour and
same.
a half ago.
I would probably need to.
It goes in one ear, goes straight out the other ear. Right.
And like I said just now, there was things, like a mum literally did a runner, and then said, you're not my daughter, not even your real mum wanted you, and this strange woman was her only companion, and could it be that sort of a way of saying, Ruby could only kind of rely on herself. She never ended up with a partner in it or anything, and there could be something in that as well. So Dunno.
So you're not impressed, basically. That's kind of what I'm getting,
really
some
like the first
negative
half.
vibes.
And
you
then,
like the first half? Okay, well that's good. That's a good thing.
I don't think God, I don't want to keep moaning about it all. I don't.
I mean, you could try not moaning about it all.
Yeah. Well, I'm just being honest. I mean, I'm not saying I disliked it.
That's fair enough, mate. No, absolutely. Honesty is the best policy.
I may have wanted a little bit more explanation towards the end. The fact that some people, as we'll see in the comments, have loved the ambiguity of it is great. So I think it definitely sort of took a left turn. When it
left turn. Interesting you said that, actually, because I was getting left turn vibes from this very much a lot, actually. Again, it's almost like when it gets into the second half, we're looking at some common Russell T Davies obsessions / themes / tropes. What was that thing you wrote where the whole world got destroyed at the end of the Russia v Ukraine kind of thing, which is a little bit scary? Was it?
Years and years.
Years and years. That it seemed it seemed to dig into that, this obsession with nuclear apocalypse and stuff like that. Okay. So firstly, I found the name of the director. It was Dylan Holmes Williams.
He did a great job.
Who's brilliant, actually. And looking on his Twitter profile, he's also done a lot of stuff for M. Night Shyamalan as well. What was that? He did the series, The Servant. Yeah, because that was good. So he's got a pinned tweet on his Twitter page here, which says, "At the start of the pandemic, I received an email with the subject heading, M. Night Shyamalan likes your short." Presumably short film rather than his shorts, right?
Short.
Flash forward 3 mad years, and here's some of my favourite stills from my 4th and final episode of Servant. Eternally grateful to at M. Night Shyamalan. So he's put some stills on there, which you can see why he was great in this episode. Very, very sinister, very stylish, horror-fueled, nightmarish kind of images that just trigger something at the back of your neck. And I think it was great. I mean, I loved it. I'm going to say, I think I would love to see more from Dylan, because I thought it was fantastically directed. I love the framing. I love the atmospherics. Everything looked like it had some kind of weird filter on it. I think the only thing is, which kind of added to the weirdness of it, actually, because there rarely seemed to be a sense of distance or place, at least in those early shots, right? So when Ruby is looking at the woman and she's obviously 73 yards away, right? But it's like, where is she in relation to where Ruby is and the TARDIS is? And I like that, because it's disorientating, because it seems like she looks in this direction, she's there, she looks in that direction, she's there. And that's exactly the idea, I guess, that they were kind of going for.
I think
she's always 73 yards away in whatever direction she looks at.
Depending on what sort of lens you use and its focal length and stuff, you can sort of bring things closer. So I think that
you got that weird
about
kind of thing.
Russell saying, he went to some pier and measured the distance and stuff like that, and then they tried different lenses that would bring her closer, even though she was the same distance. You know, which is why when you first see it in that beautifully framed shot where she's under that tree, you know, the big tree, which
well, that becomes a marker, doesn't it? Right.
Yeah.
So because in the final shot, we see the tree. It's right in front of our eyes. It's literally taken up most of the top end of the frame.
Yeah.
And we see her hands, and presumably now we are seeing through Ruby's eyes. That's why it seemed to me there wasn't any kind of there's no sort of question in my mind that it wasn't Ruby at that point. You know, I kind of thought this is who it sort of also reminded me of the end of one of my favouriteest ever films, which is 2001: A Space Odyssey, right? Where the last 20 minutes of that freaky thing, where what's his name, Dave Bowman, wakes up in this really stark white room, and it's just his head trying to make sense of time and place, but in a reference that he cannot possibly understand, and that's widely open to interpretation as well as you know, the end. It just seems to, you know, and again with the hospital sequence as well, it seemed to kind of riff on that sort of weirdness, and you know that. And 2001, as you know, Geoff, is a seminal sci-fi film. Of which, you know, which is legendary and cannot be questioned as to its awesome brilliance, right? And it pulls stuff from that, you know, that kind of sense of unease and just weirdness and tension. You know,
there was loads of that in this episode.
There was loads of tension, really, mate. It was, you know, I mean, that first bit in the pub, in a way, is just like a kind of comedy inside Number 9 type thing, right? And I'm so glad the entire episode wasn't like that, because it would have been absolutely boring, I think, if it needed something else to kind of happen. It's like, yeah, we've done that, we're in the pub, blah blah blah, but it serves a purpose, gets us into the story, you know, starts us questioning what's going on and who is this and where's the Doctor and all sorts of other things. And it's one of the scariest things in Doctor Who, I think, is when the Doctor is suddenly not there anymore. You know, and there's a thing where Ruby obviously goes back to the TARDIS, she sets up a little chair in front of it, sits through the cold, and he just doesn't show. The TARDIS doesn't let her in. It's like, you are now outside, right? And she makes a decision that she's going to have to get on with her life. And I guess this is the point of the mean landlady. It basically boots her out, you know, so she can't stay here anymore. So she's got to go and find something to do. So, you know, and Ruby being Ruby, well, what does she do? She's a very proactive character. She's not somebody who just sits back and lets things happen, right? No. And very few of the Doctor's companions are like that anyway. So she has to be proactive, because now she's got to carry the story. She's got to move the story on, right? So, you know, she's not only got to solve the mystery, because that's one thread of it, but the mystery isn't the story, and it shouldn't be. You know, it's just one dimension of it. If the story was just unraveling the mystery, then again, that's a different story. You know, it's about how does she live with the mystery? How does she continue her life without the Doctor, with this weird woman who sends everybody who talks to her away screaming? We still don't really know the answer to that, I don't think. You know, that's one thing that has yet to be solved, and I do hope they come back to it, maybe shows a bit more about, you know, why whatever she said was so terrifying, because that's what Ruby has said. So what has future Ruby seen that can freak these people out? So anyway, so parking there, I think, you know, the story moves at a really nice pace, and it's got increasing layers of tension, and it sort of does that thing whereby it delivers an answer, like a salvation, a way out, right? So it shows us a window where Ruby can escape to, you know, to safety and everything else, but each of those windows are kind of shut in her face, right, by the woman making people run away screaming, because we have that thing with her mum, right? So her mum won't let her into the house now, changes locks or whatever. Ruby's camped outside. Again, she's pushed. She has to go and make her own life. Then we get Kate Lethbridge-Stewart. Brilliant window. Come and work for UNIT. Yeah, we know all about weirdness. We know about the Doctor. There's loads of other companions there as well. You can work with us. You don't have to worry about money. We'll take care of everything. And then that all looks brilliant and golden and wonderful, a possible future. But then, of course, that gets shut as soon as they talk to the woman, and they all stare at her accusingly, like something she's done, the guilt or something, and she's terrified. She doesn't know what this is, but she's not going to let it beat her, and that's what I love. I absolutely love this. She's not going to let this. It does define her life. She finds a way to live her life with it as part of it.
She's always raising the glass to the woman.
Well, indeed, and the fact that she uses this to bring down nutty psycho prime minister guy, right? It's kind of like, you can look at this, I think, as an allegory of owning your owning your weakness, or letting your weakness be your strength, letting the thing that you fear the most, right, become the thing that gives you power, right? Because it literally becomes her superpower. She uses it as a weapon against somebody to defeat them, which I think is brilliant. Yeah. You know what I mean? I think this story works on so many different levels. And it's fantastic. And I think we're going to be talking about this particular story, unwrapping it, unraveling it, diving deeper into those layers, picking out meanings from symbols and words that have been spoken, and a particular frame, the way a shot has been framed. We also have the thing at the end of it where the woman is facing away from Ruby, right? We see the back of her head, not the front of her head when she's an older woman. Yeah, so again, what's that all about? Yeah. It's unsettling. It's creepy. It's tense. It's fast paced. It's a wonderful mystery that on the one hand has sort of been resolved, but on the other hand has yet to be resolved. And mate, I love all that shit. I love it. Bring it on. Give me more. I always wanted Russell T Davies to deliver me a multi-layered story that I can watch again and unpick and find different things. And I think, my friend, this might be the first time he's ever done that for me. So congrats, Russell. Thank you. I love you.
Something else I really liked was, when Ruby couldn't get back in the TARDIS and she kind of realised the Doctor was not there, and like you said, she had to get on with her life, and you saw that, that kind of life after the Doctor, because we've seen in the past, like Sarah Jane getting dropped off in the wrong place, and, then she had to kind of sort her life out again, and so it was quite nice seeing that, life after the Doctor thing, and what they do.
Again, like Donna Noble, in a way, isn't it? In Turn Left, when she had to sort of live that alternative lifestyle.
And after,
she'd never actually met the Doctor then, obviously, but...
No, but after... the runaway bride, when we catch up with her in Partners in Crime, she's been looking for strange things, and the course of her life has changed because of the Doctor, and a bit silly, but sometimes when I'm playing, like, say I've been playing Tomb Raider or something, and you fall down a pit and you get skewered on a load of spikes, and I thought, if this was real, that's it over there. You don't get to start again. And then what happens? And it also it reminds me a bit of Austin Powers, which I'll get to in a moment. But
I'm confused now, mate. Hold on, we've gone from Tomb Raider to Austin Powers.
Yeah, no, I'll get there. And,
okay.
You fall down, you die, and I sort of thought, well, that if this was a thing, real thing, that's the end of that story, and that person's dead.
She does that thing, doesn't she, Lara Croft, when she falls on the spikes?
That's it, yeah. And then, you don't see any more, past that. And then there's those bits in the first Austin Powers where one of the henchmen gets squashed under the steamroller, and then they phone his wife to say,
I'm
very sorry, he's died in service, and all that, and then she's telling someone, what was his job? He was Dr. Evil's henchman, and it's that sort of glimpse behind, I probably am going to hash this, but you see people, henchmen, and people on screen and stuff like that, and what happens, in the rest of their life. So a companion leaves, and you don't see anything else after that. But in this one, we got to see what happened with Ruby when the Doctor had gone,
Which is why it reminds me a lot of, sort of New Adventures and stuff, because, in a lot of those, Ace goes off and has her own life, does her own thing, and there's a few of them where she kind of reconnects with the Doctor, but she's been doing something else, and they kind of revolve, around each other. They have different parts that occasionally cross over. And I think there was a story in the Eighth Doctor novel, Seeing Eye, which is one I was thinking about as well, where, again, companion Sam has a whole different life and, does things, gets involved in a few causes, does some stuff, and then the Doctor comes back. And I do like that, because it gives us generally gives us a bit of character growth as well. And usually what happens is when the Doctor and the companion reconnect, they're a different person. So Ace has moved on, Sam has moved on, and so on and so on and so on. And even actually think about Martha Jones, right? So Martha came back in the Sontaran Stratagem as a different person, much more confident, perhaps, much more sure of herself.
Yeah, that's true. You didn't see the
which is,
interim, but you saw
that's right.
Got to,
Yeah, which is a real shame that she spent most of that story as a clone, but nonetheless, we got her the next episode anyway. So you get that, but this is kind of weird. It's sort of delivered and yet failed to deliver on that front because, Ruby had this whole other timeline and then it seemed to be kind of reset at the start. Now, this is the bit that I'm slightly not kind of au fait with at the moment, but I'm sure when I watch it again, it'll either be fine or I'll be raging, one or the other, because I don't know. So this is the weird thing, right? So they come out of the TARDIS and they step on the fairy circle and then shit happens, right? But when Ruby becomes the woman, right, who presumably she is anyway, watching that moment of the Doctor stepping on the fairy circle and Ruby reading the messages, right? When we see it through her eyes, the Doctor doesn't step on the fairy circle, and Ruby doesn't read the messages. The Doctor tells her not to read the messages, best not to, let it lie, be respectful and stuff like that. So have we got two different timelines going on here, or what? Well, or is it like a timeline that is complete, like an offshoot that comes full circle, and then actually the normal one? So does it like do a loop-the-loop, right? If it looks, you go along straight, Doctor steps on a thing, then we go into Ruby's timeline, comes back to the same point, but then the Doctor doesn't step on a thing, and then it kind of moves on as it's meant to.
Because Kate Stewart mentioned something about...
She did, yeah. You're frozen in this timeline or something like that, right?
It's possible. Yeah, I mean, it was sort of... Well... I thought at the end there that it had sort of reset, and then you saw the woman again. I was like, oh, okay. But then the Doctor couldn't see her, so maybe it's a sort of, I don't know what would you call it. Is that's looping, but
spaghetti.
Prime.
I'll
Ruby.
go with Michael Keaton's Batman. Spaghetti. That's how he explains timey-wimey shit.
What, in The Flash?
Yeah. You haven't seen The Flash, have you? Have you seen The Flash? I fucking love The Flash movie. That. Loads of people don't like The Flash movie. Rah, rah. I think it's great. It's great fun. But there you go. Anyway, that's a whole different podcast. Sorry, I dropped an F-bomb there. I should be careful of doing this because we have children listening,
Yeah. Well.
Yeah.
So I'm going to
delete that bit out.
Tweets now.
I absolutely love the Flash movie, and that's a fact. You may think I'm wrong for doing so, but I think it's jolly marvellous. I do, generally.
Yeah, that's great.
I've only seen it once. I'm going to need to watch it again. It's great fun.
Someone's got to like it.
Oi, shut up. See, now, hold on. Wait a minute, my friend, right? So, because this is a thing that you do, right? You kick off when people are disrespectful of the stuff you love. But boy, oh boy, you're quick to dish it out on the other end. What was it you called June on a text? It took me a while to get that, but eventually I figured out you were talking about June. A film about people digging for chilies in the desert. How very dare you? How very dare you, sir? Fire on your... That's it. You pulled the gloves off now, so I'm going to get brutal. Git.
If you say Avatar is paper-thin plot, I'm just going to draw that June.
It is, though. Well, no, it's not a paper-thin plot. It's a very accessible film.
No, I didn't mean
which is a really... It's a nice story. I preferred the second one to the first one immensely more. The first one was a pile of pap. Absolute gut-wrenching, pointless pap on a level that I can't even begin to descend to because it's so far down the depths of utter despair and mind-numbing boredom. So the second one was quite a long way up from that. It was a lot better.
Great. So here's some
and the thing that surprised me about the second one is it actually pulled off lots of things from Apocalypse Now, which I did not see that coming. Right, when he goes all Charlie Sheen in the water and stuff. What? Brilliant. And it's full of Cameron's good stuff. I do like Cameron as a director. I don't know why you think I don't like James Cameron, but I do. I think he's great.
No, I don't think you don't like
He does
him.
some great stuff. The only films of his that I don't really like is the first Avatar, obviously, and Titanic, which I think is absolute points for as well.
As we commented
why you like
on,
that? I'm sure you only like that because it's Leonardo DiCaprio. I know you kind of had a bit of a hots for him, haven't you? Really?
Yeah. I wish he would. I wish.
Wish you were doing a podcast with him, don't you? Really,
French boys.
Anyway, sorry. Back to topic. I'll move this away. Go
Andrew, who's at Mr. Radnight.
Hey, Andrew.
Loved it. It was a classic supernatural / horror Who. It could have done with some more explanation, maybe, but I really enjoyed that. Yeah. So yeah, I kind of agree with you there.
Maybe we'll get the explanation in future episodes.
Well,
maybe
possibly, yes. Maybe it'll tie in with
so.
Ruby's story. So we'll see. James, who's at Bay Diz podcast, said, "I loved it. It's my favourite episode so far of this series. Brilliant
Good
acting, Susan Twist being recognised, great horror elements, and social commentary. More mysteries. What did she say? I don't think we will ever know. And a great all-round episode. Also, Kate Lethbridge Stewart and Unit back." Andy Drews, who's at Andy Drews, says, "Really enjoyed it."
Oh, was Andy Drews commented? Yay! Sorry, yes, I like Andy Drews. He does those brilliant kind of graphics and stuff where he takes a piss out of lots of stuff. Brilliant. Sorry, go on.
Spooky like a Christmas ghost story, but on acid. Love the unresolved mystery of it. One of those stories told from the point of view of the characters. We know only what Ruby saw and experienced. It's a mystery to her and a mystery to us. Intimate, chilling, and a skull emoji. Paul L. Quinn. A triumph, best episode in years, an echo chamber of RTD's greatest hits, but used to produce something almost unique in Doctor Who. An episode about hauntings, liminal spaces, and future pasts constructed by hauntings and echoes of other episodes and programmes. Spectacular. Nicholas Moore, there's a few, I'm just going to read them all actually. I adored this one, really taps into the horror of having no straight answers, leaving the imagination to wonder what could possibly be responsible for all that goes on. Like Devil's Cord, it takes great advantage of this era's lean into the abstract and fantastical, and that's true, and like whilst I was somewhat dismissive about the salt thing, it has opened up those opportunities, and I do like that. Matt Tennant, who's at Bruiser M8, says Millie was great again, but no explanation of why she had to wait all that time. No explanation of why people hated her after seeing the old woman. Why did the Doctor rank that Prime Minister as most dangerous after everything Saxon Master did? Well, I suppose he was going to do, similar with nuclear weaponry and stuff, and maybe in the initial timeline he'd done that, which is when the Doctor said, "Oh, it's 2046 or something that happened." Then we eventually got there, so Ruby kind of realised her purpose was to prevent that from happening.
Yeah, except this is another thing that sort of troubles me about this, though. Actually, and I did think of this when I was watching it, but that's very much a throwaway line from the Doctor. That's as much of a throwaway line as and it takes you away when the Doctor throws a thing about the Woolly Rebellion. And obviously the Woolly Rebellion has no impact on that story, whereas in this one, that thing about the PM actually drives the second part of this story, right? It's and so it's kind of a coincidence that the Doctor should just throw away that line and Ruby becomes embroiled in a timeline that seems to in some way hinge on her needing to take action against that Prime Minister. However, as was established in the church on Ruby Road, coincidence is a powerful thing that can be used, right? The goblins the goblins use coincidence, right? They generate it, they're attracted towards it, then they're powered by it, and they also create it as well, right? And that's another thing. So, it's like the laws of physics in this series of Doctor Who have been completely rewritten, which makes me think about one of the most famous doctors of physics in our history, Sir Isaac Newton, right? The whole gravity-mavity thing. So, which really annoys me, the fact, because, gravity isn't just a made-up word. It's based off a Latin word. It's got a heritage, a lineage, an etymology. That's the word I was looking for. Hey, I know my shit, mate. I'll tell you now, right? But mavity is just made up because it sounds a bit like gravity. But again, in a world now that has that has been kind of infected by laws of coincidence and the toy maker stuff, right? The toy maker basically just ripped up reality and threw it up into the air, and we've had things like Maestro come along. We've had spaceships powered by fart gas, right? And we've had mallets. The Doctor's literally created a new TARDIS out of a mallet that he just picked up out of the floor. So I do I'm kind of getting into it slowly but surely. I really am, and I just wonder if I don't wonder. I just hope there's going to be a really good payoff. That it's not just for lols, for lorks and lols. It's actually going to be meaningful in some way to this series. Yeah. 'Cause if it isn't, I'm probably going to be quite annoyed.
Yes.
Sorry, did I bore you there?
No, I was just thinking about it. Yeah.
Yes.
I don't. I think the Mavity thing, it's silly. Or I tell you what would have made it work more for me if it had happened with other things to show.
Well, it is. But that's the point I was
you know.
making, though. It is happening with other things, right? And maybe
no, but not in like. But those things are quite abstract and subtle in a way, whereas gravity is a,
yeah. But gravity is a fundamental tenet of physics, right? And the master of physics, or sort of classical physics, that has been a standard of physics until pretty much quantum physics was kind of a thing, and black holes and stuff, till Einstein came along, really, right? Was Sir Isaac Newton.
Yeah.
So maybe that's a kind of metaphorical thing for, maybe it's a metaphor for the upset of physics in our universe. If Isaac Newton has kind of been affected, right, then the whole of physics has been affected, right? Do you see what I mean? I know it's a bit of a reach, but I'm trying to make the Mavity thing work in my head so that it's not just a made-up piece of shit, that Russell thought of in a fever dream somewhere. So maybe it does link in to the whole, because, and that's the thing, because like I said at the start of this, the whole salt thing, you don't know what happens at a quantum level. In quantum science, literally anything is possible. There is a universe out there, my friend, when you are dressed up in leather bondage gear, right, with slaves on chains as ruler of the entire universe. If you can think it, it happens. Look at Marvel's multiverse.
Well, yeah,
right.
Yeah,
the multiverse in the MCU, it's the same kind of thing, right? Yeah. So maybe Doctor Who is kind of just sort of having a little dig into that stuff. Maybe Russell's kind of got. In thinking of how can we energise this series of Doctor Who, what can we do that hasn't been done before?
You also had a bit in flux as well with the division being between universes as well. But
they weren't multiverses, were they? They were two different universes. They weren't the same universe repeated. At least I don't think they were. They were two separate, distinct universes.
Oh, I always took it that it was another.
It was an alternate.
Yeah.
I didn't.
Yeah, okay, interesting.
I mean, it could be right. Either of us could. See, again, right, this is quantum level stuff. We're both right and we're both wrong. Yeah. We don't know until it's locked in place, until we observe it.
I've got one more comment from Who Hats here.
Yeah, do that and I'll read the Facebook ones.
Yeah, okay, great. Oh, no, hang on, I've got a couple more actually, sorry. Channeling folklore, Who really steered into the supernatural as the rules of the universe shifting fallout, the blue yonder and the giggle ripples on.
That's what I just said.
Yeah. This episode felt unique and atypical, but at the same time, only something Doctor Who could deliver.
Exactly.
And another tweet: "It's a great central performance from Millie Gibson. Some very timely politics, and I'm always thrilled to see Unit." And then we had a couple of comments in our group chat from Ian Banks. He was going to send us a
what do you mean
clip.
group chat? We got a group chat?
Yes.
Why not invited to the group chat? Hey, nobody told me we had a group chat. How long's this group chat been going on without me? Eh?
Because you write in there. Ian, I think, was going to send us a SpeakPipe voice note, but we've ended up recording sooner than we were. No, it's after we've recorded sooner than we were expecting to.
Sorry, Ian.
Sorry, Ian. So he said it was mostly superb, but the ending left me with a couple of questions. Why 73 yards? Why was Ruby so hostile to the people around who spoke with her? Answer: to freak out the nutjob PM. It reminded me a lot of Turn Left, but without the benefit of a season's worth of Rose visitations to build up the backstory. Yeah, that's a good question. Why the 73 yards? Maybe that was just what worked best with the lenses. I don't know. But yeah, like I said earlier, I think if this had been episode 8 out of 10 or something, not having the Doctor in it wouldn't have been such a sort of a loss and a miss for me. But also I think Ian's right. If this had been a bit later, you could perhaps have built up a bit more, to fill it in. But
maybe,
but
then
again,
but that's not what we got, though, is it? So
no, it's not.
we have
and
to sort of look at what we've got,
but
rather than what we think we should have got or what we expected to get.
Yeah. Robert Cianicki says, I loved it all the way up to the moment I didn't, which is the ending. But I will see it again in a few days, so we'll see. I think I may well have to rewatch this one again.
I think this is a good rewatch story.
Soon, James H., who did some excellent voice work in our recent audio drama.
Yes, he did. Thank you for that, James.
Antics. He said, well, that was a ghost story with zero explanations. So
I don't think James has been much of a fan of this series so far, has he?
No. So quite interesting, the sort of, I hate saying divisive nature. Anything
polar.
Everything's divisive these days.
Oh my goodness.
But some people really liked it, some people didn't, and I wonder if that sort of, I'm not speaking for everyone, but boils down to like for me, I would have probably liked a little bit more answers,
meat on the bones,
clarification. No, because there was plenty of that.
No?
I really liked seeing Ruby's life past, the Doctor. All of that. I really liked the spooky elements of it. I think, I don't know, I just felt like I wanted more. There was another tweet I saw from someone that said, maybe Doctor Who is no longer a 45-minute show each week. It needs more time, because people have often said, this episode, that episode, blah, blah, needed a bit more time to fully resolve. Oh, and something I thought of earlier, it's just popped back into my head. The thing with Ruby and the woman and her following reminded me a little bit of The Hungry Earth, when when Rory and Amy see themselves in the distance waving. Do you remember? And that's from the future or something, but it's never really explained.
But it was explained, but it never went anywhere, did it?
I can't remember now. I haven't watched that for a while.
It was explained in the story, but I think it was meant to relate to something that was yet to happen still.
Right.
But we never saw the thing that was yet to happen.
Okay.
I think.
Yeah.
So, but we also got it in Day of the Daleks as well, way before then,
back.
mate.
Yeah.
Way back, 1972, 3, something like that. Well, thereabouts, anyway. So, okay, shall we have a little read of our Facebook friends?
Yes.
Let's see what because actually this one got quite a few. I looked on this earlier today and there was hardly anything on it apart from a few people who said, it's not for me, I don't like it, I'm not watching. So thank you for that. But since then, actually, we've had quite a few people come onto it. And we have Christopher Jacobs, who said, this has to be watched, amazing. So that was it. Thank you, Christopher. Samantha Lee Schenk says, I liked it. Nice to get some character development for Ruby, finally. Makes no sense, but that seems to be a trend this season. Absolutely, Samantha. Yep, indeed. Character development. Did we see character development? I'm not sure we did really, to be honest.
Sort of got reset again at the end.
We saw her get older.
I don't think
we saw her get older. I think that was it. We saw her jilt a few boyfriends, and
she sort of accepted that the connection with this woman, and there was a reasoning,
But I'm on the fence as to whether it actually qualifies as proper actual character development. I don't know, but maybe we did actually, and actually no, I think we did, because it's not so much that we saw her later on in life, it's that we saw her do things, be proactive and respond and drive situations. So that actually, I apologise, Samantha, you are absolutely right, we did see some character development, so that was good. And there's a bit of a conversation there, because Pamela Henro who's been on our Facebook a while, says, I've been thinking about it for a while, and I have to admit the reason I'm okay with the storyline is that magic, and she does do the quotation fingers, is a good enough explanation for me. So I like that. There's a bit more on that exchange, but I won't read all that. Then we got Nicholas G. Grace, who says, best episode yet. Just watched. No spoilers. Sorry. River Song won't let me tell. Just watch the episode on iPlayer or on BBC One or Disney outside UK. Just watch. I really should read these before I read them out, shouldn't I? I'm literally just going through them. I have no idea what they're going to say, but let's have a look. This is my favourite one. I did see this one earlier, actually, so I'll read this from Blaine Coughlin, who says, because the question I asked on Facebook was, who's looking forward to tomorrow's episode of Doctor Who? I actually just forwarded the Doctor Who post, from Doctor Who Official, so because I couldn't be bothered finding images and stuff, and they'd already done the work, so why not, So Blaine Coughlin came back and said, of course! No, it's not the same, is it? So Blaine Coughlin says, of course, are you kidding? I'm a Doctor Who fan and have been since I was 4 in 1979. I loved the first 3 episodes of this season and have no doubt whatsoever that I'm going to love the rest too. A day without Doctor Who is a day wasted. I've no idea if you talk like that, Blaine.
Blaine,
I'm sure if you
please,
don't, then apologies. But if I do, let me know if you do. Yeah, because
let us know. I'd really like to know if that's what you talk like.
And then we had someone who says, no, it's not me, it's going to be crap, but we don't need to know that. So, there you go.
I agree with Blaine. I've often said before, all Who... there's always something good in
always. That's why we love it. That's why we do this podcast.
And each week I'm excited for the new episode, and even if like with this series now, even if one of the episodes doesn't really fully work for me, it's powered by Shooty and Millie, who are brilliant.
Or just Millie in this case.
Or just Millie in this case. And you know what? She had everything to carry it, and she did a great job in it.
She really did. I didn't know this was the first one they filmed.
Yeah,
so
someone might correct me, but I'm pretty sure this is the first one, because he wasn't around.
Brilliant job. She's definitely a talent to watch.
Yeah, it's possible they're not in next week's much either.
I like the way she delivers the lines. When she's thinking about it, she does that kind of did you she sort of stutters a little bit, like she's reaching for the words, like she's trying to figure out how to get on top of this situation, and she's kind of talking as she's thinking. Yeah. I love that she just puts that right out there. I think she's brilliant.
Yeah, she's great. Yeah, I'm really enjoying her. So, as I just mentioned, next week is Bubble and Dot and Bubble.
Dot and Bubble. We got a future episode. Oh, let me just say, actually, that was one thing I wasn't so sure about, and this is that, and I wrote it down, so I have to say it. So we're in 2046 with the new Prime Minister, what's his face, and we see a news report from BBC News, right? So, and they look exactly the same as the graphics that they're using now, and actually, to be fair, look exactly the same as they used when Doctor Who came back in 2005, right?
Yeah.
So the graphics, what they're saying is that the BBC News graphics are not going to change in the next 20 years or so, right? Which, given the fact they haven't changed in the last 20 years, is probably right, actually. True, I think about it. Well, and some of the future... There was some nice future stuff, like, when the nurse explained about, just say lights to make the lights come on, and, old Ruby's like, yeah, they had that in my day as well, my love.
Yeah. I mean, as she was looking out of her window, as she was getting older, the skyline was changing a bit, I thought. As time had gone on, just a nice little subtle thing there.
There was also a nice line when she wasn't quite that old, when she's taken back to the TARDIS, and the TARDIS is kind of covered in flowers, and it's really cool. Grown into the landscape. Love that image. Beautiful. But there's a nice little throwaway line when whoever was bringing her says the Land Rover's out of range. The cars, there's no signal to keep the engine going. That was a nice little reference to future car technology, something. I like that, because quite often, especially in Russell T Davies's Doctor Who's, the future doesn't look very much like the future. Saying that, the trailer for Dot and Bubble does look like a kind of almost like a Saranga conundrum type of future, where it's all shiny, white,
like
glowing,
sort of,
luminous surfaces and
imagine
stuff.
The future might look,
So
we'll be back next week.
We might be back.
Dot and bubble, bottom double, and we will be discussing that. So we'll look forward to hearing your thoughts on it.
Yes.
And,
let us know your
what
thoughts.
You thought of 73 yards as well. Give us a
73
tweet
yards.
or a Facebook comment.
Why 73 yards? Why not metric? Because Ruby's a modern girl, isn't she? It's only people like my mum's age who do things in yards.
Yeah.
Let's just end on that one there.
Yeah, that's
Thank you for listening, people. We'll see you next time on Corner to Corner. Bye.